Hello everyone, I'm Kalen North and welcome back to Spirit Island. Today we're going to be doing another intermediate difficulty game. We'll be playing Fathomless Mud of the Swamp into France 2. France 2 is pretty interesting. It's got a lot of the adversary's identity already because it has the Slave Rebellion event and it has the explorers turning into towns. And it's particularly interesting, I think, with Mud. Let's see, I'm just checking which board I'm playing on. I'm playing on board A today. Gotta follow the randomizer. And Fathomless Mud is right at the beginning, so I am scrolling away from it. Mud's special rule sort of works against France. If there's at least 2 explorers in a land, Fathomless Mud's rule doesn't work, because they build an explorer, but then all but one explorer gets turned into towns, so it's basically useless. But if there's only a single explorer in a land, the level 2 France effect does not actually kick in, and so you will get 2 explorers as a result. So we're going to probably try and lean into that a fair bit here. We're playing with Branching Claw, Jagged Earth, and Events, but other than that, not too much to say about the matchup right away. Alright, invaders start in the wetlands. We are in the wetlands, so that'll be a little interesting for land 2. I don't think we really have a great solution to land 5 right away, and so I think I'm more likely to try and set up a sacred site in maybe land 1, and then do an open shifting waterways and a foul vapors and fetid muck opening. Reason being, with France's double explorers, being able to push 2 explorers out of a land is really nice, and a sacred site in land 1 gives us full range to the entire board, as opposed to what we have right now, which is not full range in land 2. We can also potentially get into a sands or a jungle, or stay in the mountains, depending on where they explore, to try and keep lands under control. Open shifting waterways will be nice to set up a counterattack in land 2. If they do explore in like the mountains, we could even just shove some explorers from land 1 into land 2 and have them there for the counterattack. So we'll see what happens with that. So I am going to go grow twice into land 1, and I want to play 2 cards. So let's set up for let's set up for 3 card plays next turn. That's maybe a little greedy, but I think we can probably do it. It'll let us get our innate off and potentially play a useful minor. So hopefully that works. All right, invaders build in the wetlands and explore the mountains. All right. So then I think I am going to go ahead and push the explorers from land 1 into land 2, and then use my innate on land 6 and push the Dahan out of land 6, probably into land 1, so that I can gather it in. Do I want that in land 2? Maybe I push it to land 8 instead, actually. So let's push these 2 explorers into land 2. And we'll have 6 health. Well, we'll have less than 6 health once Open Shifting Waterways kicks in. So we'll pull these Dahan in, deal 1 damage to an explorer, and then we'll defend it for 5. And then we will hop into land 6, take out one of the explorers, which saves us a town later, and push the Dahan out to land 8. All right, now this turn, I think I want to go for, rather than trying to do a double growth, go for growth 3, because then we can actually play 3 cards. We could just go for 2 energy, but then Exaltation of Tangled Growth isn't going to do anything for us other than elements, which is kind of underwhelming, so let's try this out. All right, Call to Guard. Call to Guard is interesting. If we put the Dahan into A5 now, I'd be feeling amazing, but we didn't do that. So let's see. Delusions of Danger could solve land 6, but I think we're just going to put another presence in land 6 to solve it. Mesmerized Tranquility would solve land 5 if we grew into it, but we don't want to grow into it, because we want our Sacred Site in land 6. Twilight Fog Brings Madness is actually not bad for us element-wise. It has the moon and water, and that would be pretty good for solving land 6 without having to commit another action to it. So I'm kind of leaning towards that right now. I think... Yeah, I mean, I think it's that or Call to Guard, and Call to Guard, I think, is not going to do enough for us right now, because defend 1 and land 5 with 1 Dahan is not great. So let's take Twilight Fog Brings Madness. Let's grow to 3 card plays. We can play all 3 cards, and we can pay an energy for Exaltation of Tangled Growth. Oh, and the elements are really good, because then we get level 3 Spreading and Dreadful Mire. So that's actually pretty helpful. So let's defend land 2. Hardworking Settlers. That's actually probably really good. Okay. So I think... Oh my goodness, we have a couple options here. So if we act cautiously, we can push some Dahan around, which is often nice. We have to add a town, though, but the immediately Ravage doesn't hurt us at all. If we create unnerving distractions, it saves us a blight, we get a fear, and it's going to drastically accelerate the deck. Well, except it's not, because we're probably going to win before we even get to the bottom of stage 2. So let's create distractions, I think. I'd love to get the Dahan push, but I don't think it's that important right now. And I don't want them getting that extra town, because it is France. So let's create distractions. That does nothing. Skip all explore actions to lands with at least 2 Dahan. Alright, so let's Ravage in land 2. Let's allow the Ravage. And then we'll skip the Ravage in land 5. Alright, Invaders explore in the jungles. Okay. So then we have a couple options here. We could do something in land 8, take out the town, push the Dahan to land 6, or we could take out both explorers in land 3. If on our reclaim, we've got some time to get Dahan into land 3, and then we could defend it. So I'm kind of inclined to take out land 8 and try and avoid the city build, which is normally not what you want to do against France. I think you normally want to focus more on the towns specifically. But we're doing really well on town count right now. So the only other thing I can think of is Exaltation of Tangled Growth if I want to take a minor with it, doing that first. Yeah, let's do that. Let's pay 1 energy, get a minor. Strong and Constant Currents. That's kind of cool. None of the rest of these are all that great for us. Savage Maw Beasts could do a little bit of work, but I don't think any of the others are going to do much, and I'd rather stick to the 0 costs because I've stayed at just 1 energy. So next turn we're not going to have a ton of energy to play cards. So let's take Strong and Constant Currents. And then we will Twilight Fog Brings Madness in land 6. And in land 8, let's... I just really want to get that Dahan into land 6 to clear it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then we can make a Sacred Site in land 8 to stop the town from building there. So let's do that. Let's reclaim. Let's get our... Do we want our plant element? We're going to play Open Shifting Waterways, and probably Foul Vapors and Fetid Muck, and Twilight Fog Brings Madness. So the plant element doesn't really help, but I don't think the moon element really helps either. So let's do that. Let's do that and get towards our 2 energy, and maybe even 3 energy next turn. So let's play those 3. And are we... where are we on Slave Rebellion? We're 2 turns away. So the Slave Rebellion turn is going to happen with land 3. So we actually can just solve land 3 by pulling Dahan into it with Open Shifting Waterways, and then strifing the town, one of the towns that builds, and then pulling the Dahan in. So that'll actually work really nicely. Yeah, let's do this. Event Cities Rise. I think that happens in land 5, because we don't have a lot of towns right now. Yeah, we get a city in land 5, which is great for us. We'd rather have a city there. And each player removes... Oh, we don't have any lands with 2 or more Dahan and invaders. That's funny. And then invaders explore coastal lands. Oh boy, it's a lot of explorers. We're going to have to deal with some of those. So I wanted to Open Shifting Waterways into land 3. But I wanted Twilight Fog Brings Madness first. So strife a town, because that'll be really big. We could actually save open shifting waterways elsewhere and use our innate to push those Dahan into land 3, and then clear land 2 as a result. So I think let's do that actually. Yeah, let's do that. So that'll get us 2 Dahan in here, which then the Slave Rebellion event... Oh, wait, no, we don't want to do that because we want the 1 damage from open shifting waterways for sure. So let's actually gather 2 in, and then we take out 1 Explorer. So that way now, when the Slave Rebellion event happens, we'll take out both towns, have 4 Dahan, and then 1 Explorer, and it'll be fine on its own. Foul Vapors and Fetid Muck. Let's see, where do we want to actually do that? I probably want to shove all of the Explorers out of land 1, and then clear land 2. The other possibility would be to maybe push some things into land 7 so that we can use Spreading and Dreadful Mire there to get Dahan into, say, land 5, but I don't think we're going to get a Strife onto that city in time. So that's not really the most useful. I think let's build up land 5 a little more, and then hopefully Wetlands Stage 2 doesn't come up, but if it does come up, then we will probably draft a major or something to deal with it. And then we're going to be playing... Are we playing Intractable Thickets and Thorns next turn? We could have 3 energy. We could draft something instead. I think I just need to take care of the coastal land here. And let's group all the Dahan in land 3 in case something... I don't think anything weird can happen in advance of the Slave Rebellion occurring. But just in case something goes wrong that I haven't thought of. All right, let's go ahead and we can go to 2 energy or 3 energy. If we go to 2 energy, we can actually draft a major this turn, which might be really nice to help us plan for how we're going to deal with land 5, because we don't really have a plan for how to deal with land 5. So let's do that. Let's grab a major. All right, Flow Like Water, Reach Like Air is fun. Talons of Lightning would deal with land 5 eventually. Wounded Wild turns on its assailants, and Tsunami would not. So I guess the question is, do we want to try and do some more controlling with Flow Like Water, Reach Like Air, which I don't think we care to. I think we just take Talons of Lightning here, honestly. We can't afford it this turn, but we could play it next turn to try and get a quick victory. So take Talons of Lightning. Let's forget Foul Vapors and Fetid Muck. I don't think we're gonna try and reclaim again. I think we're just gonna try and finish the game off as quick as we can here. Let's set up in... I think I want to set up a Sacred Site in land 1, just in case something happens that puts an invader there, so that we don't build so that we build an Explorer instead of something else. And then I'm going to play Intractable Thickets and Thorns, and I don't know if I actually want to play anything else, because we have our Dahan where we want them in the coastal lands, and I kind of rather save these cards for next turn. We could play Exaltation of Tangled Growth, but then that's going to make it harder to afford Talons of Lightning. But only slightly, because we can still grow 3 next turn, which then we'd gain 5 energy, and we'd have 1... Let's play it. It gets us our innate at least, and from there we can decide what to do. All right, Slave Rebellion. So we will add to the town in land 3. The towns get destroyed by the Dahan and create new Dahan, and we get another event. Invaders Surge Inland. That's not going to do anything. Grim Toll. That's not going to do anything. And Canny Defense. That's going to be funny. All right, each player adds 2 Strife in a land not matching a Ravage card. Well, that's lovely. We'll put that in there. Skip the next normal Explorer. All right, well, I think that we just win then. Because we skipped that Explorer. And then we can Exaltation of Tangled Growth just to gain a minor. Sure, Gift of Living Energy. Why not? I'm not going to spend any time thinking about that, honestly. And then we want to... Does it matter where we do this? It doesn't. Let's just take out an Explorer there. All right, and now let's hit that growth 3 again. We'll gain another minor. Again, I don't think this really matters. We could take hazards. We're close to thresholding Talons of Lightning, but we're not actually going to. And then let's go into the wetland. We'll play Talons, Gift, and Hazard Spread. And sure, let's get some energy. Let's make a Beast token, and let's Talons of Lightning for 5 damage. And that should be game. All right, so that's France with Fathomless Mud of the Swamp. The matchup certainly gets a lot trickier when you have the higher difficulty levels involved, but it's still, I think, a little challenging to do with this difficulty. But Mud has some really good tools for dealing with explorers, so it works out, even though your special rule is kind of requires more thought, shall we say. Otherwise, yeah, thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your day.